The rot inside of our military has been going on for years. It is a slow, steady rot as we focus on being more inclusive, and we need more women, and do the gay people feel welcome enough? Have we done any transgender surgeries? As we completely lose focus on killing bad guys, you have a slow, steady rot. And the military brass we have in there now, they're all people who've been filtered through America's communist college education system, and these guys are just as big a nutball losers as the average college professor. That's the reality of it. I had a source tell me, and this is a source who would know, you know all those great admirals from World War II? He said not one of those guys would make it past lieutenant in today's Navy. We don't promote war fighters. Do we have enough women up for admiral? That's what we do now. That's what we do now. Now, all that stuff is just talking points, right? Right now, it's just you and I talking. I could be dead wrong. Surely it's not really that bad. We're America. But you remember what else I said? You won't ever know what I've been telling you about the military is true until it's too late. We have the Taliban sitting in the presidential palace. This show's officially over. They control the country outside of the Northern Alliance. How does that happen? You want to know how that happens for real? You want to know? Don't take it from me. Take it from General Mark Milley. This is how it happens.
I want to understand white rage, and I'm white, and I want to understand it. So what is it that caused thousands of people to assault this building and try to overturn the Constitution of the United States of America? What caused that? I want to find that out. I want to maintain an open mind here, and I do want to analyze it. It's important that we understand that because our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Guardians, they come from the American people. So it is important that the leaders, now and in the future, do understand it.
White rage. That's important. We have most powerful general in America. He's testifying before Congress about white rage. Jesse, what does that have to do with anything? What have I told you before? You and I have had this talk before. You can probably repeat it back to me. We've had this talk before. If we get a date, you and I, and 1 year from today, you and I are going to meet somewhere. We're going to meet in a big open field, and we're going to fight to the death. And you spend the next year spending 10, 11, 12 hours a day, every waking moment, training to murder me. And I spend 5 hours a day training to murder you, and the other 5 hours worrying about my pronouns. Are we being inclusive? Do white people hate themselves enough? When we meet, I'm going to die. Time is finite. And for years and years and years, this actually really began under Clinton. For years, our military has focused on everything under the sun except what matters. We have a gigantic climate change division in the military. They're worried about putting out tanks that don't emit greenhouse gases. How do you lose to a rabble in Afghanistan? That's how you lose. And that's how you lose a nation. Look, we're not losing America right now because Afghanistan's lost. And we'll get to that tragedy here in just a second. We're not losing America. You're seeing the first instance of what I've been warning you about. We're going to get embarrassed on a national stage. We left these people there. Okay, fine. It's Afghanistan. I'm not going to pretend like you care about it or I care about it. I don't want innocent people to suffer, but I get that. It's Afghanistan. But more importantly, what we left, we packed up our stuff and pulled out the U.S. military. We left them Javelin missiles. We left them drones, anti-mine vehicles. We left them helos. They're flying our Blackhawks, the Taliban, the people we've been, fighting against for the last 20 years. They're all carrying M4s, our M4s. They have our comms, secure comms now. They have NVGs now, courtesy of the good old US of A. How does that happen? How could a military possibly be so inept that they leave all billions and billions of dollars of equipment behind for the Taliban to use? How could that happen? You have generals worried about white rage instead of winning wars. This is a disaster. And look, the Biden administration has been a disaster. Remember back on, January or July 8th, when Joe Biden said, you remember when he said this? You remember this?
Do you see any parallels between this withdrawal and what happened in Vietnam with some people feeling...
None whatsoever. Zero. What you had is you had entire brigades breaking through the gates of our embassy. 6, if I'm not mistaken. The Taliban is not the North Vietnamese army. They're not remotely comparable in terms of capability. There's going to be no circumstance where you see people being lifted off the roof of a embassy of the United States from Afghanistan. It is not at all comparable.
There's no situation where you're going to see people lifted out of our embassies, right? It's not possible. Oh, wow, whoops. And by the way, let's set aside this foolish notion some people have on both sides that the Taliban are just a bunch of ignorant, dirt-eating rubes. Oh, don't get me wrong, they're disgusting. They treat women and children like cattle, and their vision for society is horrific. The Taliban are outstanding fighters, and one thing Joe Biden said there is right. They're not comparable to the North Vietnamese army. He's right, they're not, because the North Vietnamese army was supplied by China and the Soviet Union. The Taliban are supplied by the United States of America. That's a fact. I mean, how much more embarrassing could it get for this administration? Here's your Secretary of State saying something interesting.
President Biden is intent on avoiding a Saigon moment. That's a reference, of course, to the hasty and humiliating U.S. evacuation from Vietnam. But with this troop surge to airlift Americans out of Afghanistan, aren't we already in the midst of a Saigon moment?
No, we're not. Remember, this is not Saigon. We went to Afghanistan 20 years ago with one mission.
Mm-hmm. Yep, sure did. What mission was it? Oh, nobody can tell you. Get Osama bin Laden. Yes, that was a good mission. Fine. Okay, what have we been doing for the last 20 years? Supposedly training all these Afghan troops to stand up against the Taliban, and they just handed over your weapons. Oh, those weapons I've been complaining about? You know they're driving them to Iran. China's going to get their hands on them. All that military technology gone. Handed over to the enemy. How's Joe Biden been handling this? Well, I know he gave a statement today, but he's been gone on vacation for days. Jen Psaki went on vacation. Not making this up. Total disaster on the world stage for the administration. They all went on vacation. Oh, but Joe Biden put up some picture of him sitting by himself like a dunce at some large table doing some teleconference, outing CIA analysts as he does it. Jeez. And look, it's not as if you can ever get accurate information anymore. Here's the reality. The Taliban were always going to take over Afghanistan because they're the most violent, strongest fighting force in Afghanistan. It was only a matter of dates. So you can feel bad, but understand the country falling to the Taliban was inevitable. We didn't have to arm them while we did it, and we didn't have to haphazardly leave so many of our own people behind while we did it. The truth is, you and I, as Americans, we've been so blessed to live the life we have lived, we forget about the ugly side of the world. What you're seeing in Afghanistan right now is not the exception, that's the norm. That's the ugly side of life. If you'd like that to never hit your shores, we have a lot of rot to clean up. Hey, thanks so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe. You heard me. Like it, subscribe. You'll get a lot more of it and a lot more of me.